Part 48. Beast Tamer, Divine Beast Tamer. Author, I am Lao Wu. Chapter 478. I'm back. Lin Chen opened the door of his home and found that only Avi Ya was sitting on the sofa watching TV. No one else was there. Avi Ya heard the sound. She was stunned. Then she looked at Lin Chen. She thought she was dazzled. Rubbed his eyes. Why don't you welcome me back? Lin Chen looked at Avi Ya with a smile on his face. How can it be? Ai Weiya jumped directly into Lin Chen's arms. How about them? Lin Chen asked, holding Avi Ya hanging on him like a koala. They're in seclusion, Ai Weiya said to Lin Chen with a trace of nostalgia. That's it, Lin Chen said with a hint of sigh in his eyes. When he came back this time, Lin Chen had no plans to stay for a long time. He planned to leave in a few days. He didn't want them to worry. Lin Chen wanted to solve his own problems. The aura of despair in his body was present all the time, eroding his own heart. His power is declining. Lin Chen can clearly feel that his Taoism is constantly declining and disappearing. This is not a good thing. Is the war over? Ai Weiya raised her head and asked Lin Chen. Not yet, but now, there shouldn't be any big problem. Lin Chen thought for a while and said, and made up a white lie. He didn't tell the truth. Avi Ya and others couldn't help. If they knew it, they would be worried in vain. There is no need to be frightened. How long will you stay when you come back this time? Ai Weiya looked at Lin Chen and asked. 2 or 3 days, maybe. You know there are still things happening on the other side of the border. Lin Chen said with a smile on his face. Oh fine, Ai Weiya said with some disappointment. It's a pity that Qiana and the others are still in seclusion. But you belong to me alone, Ai Weiya said with a smile on her face. Lin Chen also smiled. He hasn't been so relaxed for a long time. Who knew things would change like this? To be honest, Lin Chen thought that he would probably be covering a planet in his life. Be a ball captain, and take his wife and children to live happily ever after. But now things are becoming more and more unpredictable. In the next 2 days, Lin Chen accompanied Ai Weiya to have a good time, and then went to Ai Weiya. Weiya left with a reluctant look. After leaving, Lin Chen's long hair turned white. His face instantly looked much older. Really, Lin Chen looked at his current appearance. He is constantly being eroded. The Taoism has faded, and cracks have appeared in its origin. His own divine power is disappearing. Really, Lin Chen looked at his current appearance and shook his head helplessly. Lin Chen himself didn't know how long he could suppress it. The only thing Lin Chen could do was to find a way to see if he could solve his own problem. Lin Chen left the ancestral star. With reluctance and nostalgia in his eyes, Lin Chen didn't know if he could go back. But he didn't want Avi Ya, Jiao Na, Quina, Wu Xiao, Lin Yuyu, and others to see him touching this like this. This is not a good thing for Lin Chen. Maybe it's time to go back and take a look. Lin Chen looked at the boundless starry sky. Although all the planets in the Yanhuang Empire have been relocated, none of the planets have changed. Lin Chen is crossing the starry sky. Although he is now being eroded and his divine power is fading, there is still no change in crossing the starry sky. Question. A golden light flashed across the starry sky. A planet appeared in front of Lin Chen. The Holy Orchid Star. Lin Chen's starting place and the place where he first came to this world. Thinking of this, there was a smile on the corner of Lin Chen's mouth. That happened many years ago. Now, Lin Chen couldn't help but have a knowing smile on the corner of his mouth. He thought of the Empress, Jiao Qiao, and Bai Shui. They thought of the Empress, Jiao Qiao, and Bai Shui. They all followed him out of this planet. Although Bai Shui was hatched on Shenlong Star, his roots were still obtained on Zhenglan Star, so he can be regarded as walking out with him. It's time to go back and take a look. Lin Chen appeared on the Holy Orchid Star with a smile on his lips, without causing any fluctuations. This is a very easy thing for Lin Chen. Still nothing has changed at all. Lin Chen was walking on the street. His long white hair was a bit eye-catching. But fortunately, there was nothing too strange. Lin Chen walked to Shenglin High School with a smile on his lips. Big changes have occurred here, and it was different from the original. Compared with the shabby old school, the current Shenglin High School has become a luxurious middle school. The facilities inside are all top-notch. People around him seemed to have not seen Lin Chen, and in fact it was the same. If Lin Chen didn't want to, no one on the entire Holy Orchid Star could see Lin Chen. Lin Chen walked into the Holy Orchid Center with a smile on his face, looking at everything around him. Then he left, and then came to the place where the Holy Orchid Star competition was held. Place. In one day, Lin Chen walked through many places, and many memories came back. He also saw an acquaintance, who is now the head of the Shenglin Xingji family. Ji Hao. Lin Chen didn't go to say hello, it was not a world in itself. After so many years, Ji Hao is still in the diamond without any change. This is probably the end of it. Finally, Lin Chen entered the secret realm. Back then, Lin Chen was digging around here, cheating people, and killing people. Black Hand. It's really familiar. Lin Chen sat cross-legged on a mountain top. Right here, Lin Chen murmured, the Taoist magic on his body was running, the immortal dragon's magic was roaring, and the thunder fell from the sky, completely covering this place. Lin Chen wanted to hibernate and transform, completely eradicating the despair in his body. How long this time will take, Lin Chen doesn't know, but he also knows in his heart that this retreat is different from the past. If he fails this time, he will be buried here. Perhaps, this is also a good place. Lin Chen said with a smile on his lips. It's not bad to be buried here, Lin Chen thought half-jokingly. The thunder turned into a thunder prison and completely buried Lin Chen's figure. Time passed slowly. News about Lin Chen completely disappeared, except for a few people who figured out where Lin Chen was. Outside the place, no one else knew about it. Time was passing slowly. Lin Chen was fighting with the energy of despair, and his figure was constantly weakening and withering, and his head was covered with hair like withered grass. His figure was frighteningly thin. 100 years. Time has passed. The situation on the border battlefield is becoming more and more serious. The Yanhuang Empire can only defend the border, with the existence of Yanhuang, but it still can only defend the border. Demons have invaded the Yanhuang Empire. This is not a good thing. This means that the Yanhuang Empire, the boundaries are about to be broken. Beast Tamer, Divine Beast Tamer. Author, I am Lao Wu. Chapter 479. Hey, Nian Cheng, are you going to participate in the Holy Orchid Star competition? A young girl asked a tall and handsome young man beside her. The young man looked young, probably about 95 or 6 years old. Lin Nianchen nodded. It's a bit boring. Logically speaking, if you go to participate in the competition now, aren't you bullying others? The girl said with a hint of doubt. Lin Niancheng shook his head. This is what my mother said. She said that I must be better than my father. I need to retrace my father's path. The farther I go, the more I can prove that I am stronger than my father. I really don't understand. That's your father, why are you so concerned about it? The girl said with a hint of helplessness. Well, I don't know, maybe it's because I haven't seen my father since I took action. He came out on this planet, so I believe I am definitely better than him. Lin Niancheng said with a confident smile on his face. Oh? Is that so? All right. By the way, since you are also participating, I'll go too, the girl said to Lin Niancheng with a bright smile on her face. What are you going to do? Lin Niancheng said speechlessly and looked at the girl with a hint of helplessness in his eyes. Because you have gone, the girl looked at Lin Niancheng with a smile on her face. Lin Niancheng looked at the girl speechlessly. I'll see you tomorrow. I won't be merciful in the secret realm tomorrow. Lin Niancheng said to the girl. Huh, just wait, the girl snorted proudly, shook her head and waved her hands and left directly. It's so helpless. Lin Niancheng murmured. He only came to Saint Orchid Star a year ago. In addition to him, his mother also came here. But then again, is my father, whom I have never met, really that powerful? Lin Niancheng was a little confused. He didn't understand why his mother respected that person so much. In Lin Niancheng's view, his mother was a member of the royal family of the Celestial clan. Her own strength should not be too terrifying, but she still respected him so much for someone he had never met. Father. This really made him very curious. Mother, I'm back. Lin Niancheng returned home and said to Alaire, who was sitting on the sofa playing games. Looking at Alaire's girl-like appearance, Lin Niancheng felt helpless. My son is back. By the way, I told you, remember to call me mom, or sister. Is there a celestial star here? She is still so young, Alaire said with some narcissism. Lin Niancheng's mouth twitched. Since he and his mother, Alaire, came to Saint Orchid Star a year ago, his mother has been addicted to online novels and popular online surfing. She plays more and more. Which leads to this temper now. Mom, what do you want to eat tonight? Lin Niancheng said with a twitching corner of his mouth. Coke chicken wings, braised pork. By the way, have you bought the Fat House water I asked you to buy? Alaire asked Lin Niancheng. The corner of Lin Niancheng's mouth twitched. Oh my god, my head hurts a little. Bought the corners of Lin Niancheng's mouth twitched, and he handed the Fat House water to Alaire. Lin Niancheng looked at Alaire, opened a can and drank it without ceremony. The corners of his mouth twitched. Mom, can you pay attention to your image? Lin Niancheng grinned and said to Alaire. Is there a celestial clan here? Don't you find the celestial clan's etiquette annoying? Alaire said carelessly. What are you still doing? I want your mother to starve to death. Hurry up and cook, Alaire said to Lin Niancheng. Lin Niancheng was a little speechless, but he still went to the kitchen to cook. Alaire looked at the projection in front of him and said. There's no point in having a baby if it's not for fun. This is the first time, why should I let you? How to manage your son and more. A series of posts. It turned out to be true, Alaire said with a smile on his lips. After dinner in the evening, Lin Niancheng was ready to rest. Before resting, he said to Alaire, Mom, I will participate in the Shenglan Star competition tomorrow. Alaire was stunned. Does time fly by so fast? Okay, I get it, son, come on, be better than your heartless dad, Alaire said to Lin Niancheng. Lin Niancheng nodded. It has been more than a year since he came to Saint Orchid Star, to be precise in the human star field. Lin Niancheng has become accustomed to sleeping and resting at night. The next day, Lin Niancheng set out alone to the stage of the Saint Orchid Star competition. Up at the entrance to the secret realm, Lin Niancheng always felt like something was about to happen. His blood was throbbing. This feeling only happened once when he was a child. Lin Niancheng couldn't figure out what the reason was. Hum, just wait for me, little Niancheng. Chen Xian looked at Lin Niancheng in the crowd with a smile on her lips. Then all the contestants entered the secret realm. What caught their eyes was the thunder in the sky, and the terrifying thunder prison gathered in the center of the secret realm. Lin Niancheng's pupils shrank, as if I saw that figure in the thunder prison. Then I looked again and there was nothing there. You must be dazzled, how could there be anyone among such terrifying thunder? Lin Niancheng thought slowly, but the blood in his body was throbbing. It was pulling Lin Niancheng towards the thunder prison. A warning sounded before entering the secret realm. Don't get close to the thunder prison. Lin Niancheng suppressed the throbbing in his heart, and then began to search other opponents. He was different from Lin Chen back then. He did not lack resources, nor did he lack talent. Half of the royal blood of the celestial clan flowed in his body. The resources could be said to be inexhaustible. There was no such discrimination. And no one is discriminating against Lin Niancheng. The celestial clan itself is a very united race, and there are many mixed races among them, so discrimination does not exist. What's more, Lin Niancheng still has the royal blood of the celestial clan in his body. The game begins. Lin Niancheng is undoubtedly the inheritance. In addition to Lin Chen's talents and qualifications, he has been practicing the secret method of the celestial clan since he was a child. This is the secret method for the celestial clan to become the dominant race in the universe. His own physique is unbelievably strong, and he is probably only as strong as Lin Niancheng in extreme physical training. Xiao Niancheng, I must have caught you. Chen Xian looked at Lin Niancheng with a smile on her face. Lin Niancheng looked at Chen Xian speechlessly. This guy is targeting him. This woman has been targeting him since arriving here a year ago. What a hassle, Lin Niancheng murmured, looking at the woman in front of him with a headache. Completely different from Lin Chen's personality, Lin Niancheng is all about stability in everything. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Beast Tamer, Divine Beast Tamer. Author, I am Lao Wu. Chapter 480. For example, the woman in front of him seemed like trouble to Lin Niancheng. Very troublesome. By the way, can you change someone? Lin Niancheng looked at the woman in front of him and said with a twitching corner of his mouth. This woman has been eyeing him a year ago and still refuses to let him go. It's really a bit uncomfortable. What do you think? Chen Xian looked at Lin Niancheng with a burning fighting spirit in his eyes. For Chen Xian, before Lin Niancheng came to Saint Orchid Star, she was the absolute center of the younger generation of Saint Orchid Star, but after this person appeared, all eyes were drawn to her. This seemingly harmless guy took away. Watch out! Chen Xian burst out with white spiritual power and quickly appeared in front of Lin Niancheng. Too slow, Lin Niancheng said lightly, and directly grabbed Chen Xian's fist with one hand. Chen Xian was stunned for a moment and looked at Lin Niancheng. That's it now, Lin Niancheng said with a hint of boredom. The blood flowing in his body made him have no desire to fight for his weak existence. Damn it! Chen Xian gritted her teeth and looked at Lin Niancheng. Although Lin Niancheng was very strong, she never had this concept. But now, Chen Xian feels that the gap between herself and Lin Niancheng is far stronger than she thought. But then again, something seems wrong. Lin Niancheng watched the black cracks in the sky gradually emerge. A thunderous sound rose from the ground. A demon god with blood on his body broke into the secret realm. A lower demon god broke into the demon god inside the Yanhuang Empire. He was being chased. Killed here. It seems that he paid a heavy price to get rid of the pursuer. Lin Niancheng's pupils shrank. Chen Xian also had horror in his eyes. The figure looked like it was holding up the sky, with demon blood flowing on its body. What is this? Chen Xian's voice was trembling, a warning from life instinct. It was extremely terrifying. His body could not stop shaking. For Lin Niancheng, it was better. The blood flowing in his body did not allow him to bow his head to any creature. Even if it was the same goes for gods. Demon, Lin Niancheng spat out two words with some bitterness. Lin Niancheng had only seen this level of power once in his mother, and that time he discovered it by accident. He is a descendant of a god, and a bloodline of the royal family of gods. Golden light emerged on Lin Niancheng's body. Platinum. This is Lin Niancheng's current strength level, of course an upper level. After all, Lin Niancheng has been asleep for more than 100 years since he was born. Of course, most of the time he has been asleep. If you calculate carefully, Lin Niancheng is probably around 15 or 16 years old. He is a special type, and time will not reflect anything on Lin Niancheng at all. His rank is platinum, but his combat power is not necessarily certain. Chen Xian looked at Lin Niancheng with a trace of uncertainty in his eyes. Lin Niancheng's whole body was now shining to the extreme, and the God's battle method was opened. Behind him appeared a God's battle method that was different from Ailir's. The God's battle method differed from person to person, and different forms of people were also different. Lin Niancheng's divine battle technique blossomed. A pair of golden wings of light appeared behind him. Interesting, there is also an ant from the celestial clan here, a hybrid, the terrifying voice sounded. After all, he is a demon, a being among the gods. It is impossible to achieve the status of a god without two brushes. There was a hint of bitterness in the corner of Lin Niancheng's mouth. To say that his current strength is to be superior to his contemporaries, that's nothing. It's a problem, but the demon god in front of him is too difficult. Without the slightest hesitation, Lin Niancheng took Chen Xian and started to escape. The light wings behind him spread out and reached top speed. As for leaving the secret realm, under the nose of a demon god, this was possible. Well, that will only make them die faster. Lin Niancheng is not stupid. Leaving the secret realm will inevitably open a space channel. This demon does nothing but collapses the space channel, which is enough to make them die countless times. Want to run? This lower demon god stretched out his big hand and went directly to catch Lin Niancheng. There was a trace of fear in Lin Niancheng's eyes. He had to be afraid, in the face of death. Lin Niancheng's battle method was pushed to the extreme by Lin Niancheng. Lin Niancheng's body was glowing, and his body was glowing. The seal appeared, and the light of the seal was weakening. When he encountered life danger, he automatically began to release the human bloodline in Lin Niancheng's body. The space surged. Of course, Lin Niancheng also had the talent of the celestial clan to master space, and forcibly broke the space. Lin Niancheng jumped to the vicinity of the forbidden area. Interesting, how long can you escape? This low-level demon god said with a smile on his lips. The celestial clan is a great supplement. There is a trace of greed in the eyes of the lower demon god. Every deity will have its own divinity from birth. Lin Niancheng naturally has it. Blood spilled from the corner of Lin Niancheng's mouth, and the terrifying fluctuation still made him injured. Are you going to die? Chen Xian said quietly, with no obstruction in her voice. Will not? Lin Niancheng had determination in his eyes. The light dissipated, and Lin Niancheng revealed his true face. The lower demon god looked at Lin Niancheng with a hint of uncertainty in his eyes. You are the descendant of that human demonic creature. You can't be wrong. You look like this and have the aura of blood. The lower demon god looked at Lin Niancheng with a hint of horror in his voice. Lin Niancheng and Lin Chen were not only similar in appearance, but they were about 70% the same. After all, they have a father-son relationship. Human demon, Lin Niancheng looked at this lower demon god with some confusion. What on earth is this guy talking about? What kind of human demon is this? Forget it, never mind. Lin Niancheng gritted his teeth, took the initiative to release the seal that sealed the blood power in his body, and opened it directly. This breath, the lower demon god's body is trembling. Damn it, the lower demon god roared, and the black demonic nature crushed directly towards Lin Niancheng. During the hundreds of years of border war, half of the time was blocked by the human demon. Behind it, the seven kings, after paying a heavy price, the human demon was forced to retreat from the stage. But now, the lower demon god discovered the news about the human demon again. The terrifying black demonic nature covered the entire small world. Lin Niancheng had a look in his eyes. A trace of fear. Chen Xian hugged Lin Niancheng tightly. She didn't dare to look at this lower demon god. Damn it, Lin Niancheng had a trace of fear in his eyes. Damn dad, your son is really going to die if you don't come out. Lin Niancheng roared loudly, the blood in his body was reviving. The brand in the blood emerged. A faint shadow appeared behind Lin Niancheng. With a cynical smile. Beast Tamer, Divine Beast Tamer. Author, I am Lao Wu. Chapter 481. The phantom was very light, wearing a black casual suit, with a ponytail tied behind his head, and a cynical smile on his lips. Lin Niancheng was very similar to this phantom. Lin Chen's soul brand blended into his own bloodline. "Oh, you are finally willing to let me out." Lin Chen looked at Lin Niancheng with a smile on his lips. Lin Niancheng was also stunned. He had no idea that such a thing would happen after his blood was released. "Old Daddy," Lin Niancheng looked at Lin Chen and felt a little confused. "No, it's just a fragment of the soul brand on me, just the power in your blood," Lin Chen said lightly, looking at the black magic that filled the sky. The golden fist print was shot directly. The magic was annihilated. Lin Niancheng was stunned when he saw it. But Lin Chen's shadow became even more blurred. "Enough," Lin Chen said lightly. "The fragments of the soul brand are not even a ray of soul." The lower demon god looked at Lin Chen, who suddenly appeared with a trace of panic in his eyes, and then calmed down. If it was really the human demon, he would be gone now. "Sure enough, kings, you are right, you have fallen," the lower demon god said with a hint of excitement in his voice. Lin Niancheng looked at Lin Chen in disbelief. Lin Chen's soul brand fragments and shrugged. "Don't look at me, I'm just the manifestation of the power in your blood. I don't know the specific situation." Lin Chen's shadow shook his head and said. "Fall? By the way, why do I feel like I'm not dead yet?" Lin Chen said lightly. The forbidden area behind Lin Niancheng suddenly exploded. There was a trace of fear in the eyes of the lower demon god. Almost, a dry and hoarse voice sounded. Dry, like the sound of two pieces of steel colliding. "Oh, it seems like I'm not dead yet, I happen to be nearby." Lin Chen Shuiying looked at the lower demon god with a smile on his lips. "Run away." Without any hesitation, the lower demon god, who was so arrogant just now, wanted to tear apart the space and leave. Time and space were imprisoned without any reason. "I have risen from the dead, returned from despair, and will last forever, 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 with an immortal body and an immortal soul, running through the past and present, shining through the ages." The sky sound of the avenue sounded. A thin figure walked out of the forbidden mind prison. The clothes on his body were in tatters. Only skin and bones were left on his body, and his hair fell out. He shook as if he might be annihilated at any time. Lin Niancheng looking at the skeleton coming out of the forbidden area in front of me. After 100 years, he returned from despair. Lin Chen murmured, with a glint in his eyes as he looked at Lin Niancheng and Chen Xian. "Well done, almost completely wiped out." Lin Chen looked at Lin Niancheng and said in a deep voice. The lower demon god looked at Lin Chen's thin body with fear in his eyes. Lin Chen took one step forward and appeared in front of the lower demon god. "I just came back and I lack a little nutrition, so a low-level demon god can make do with it." "Lend me your life source," Lin Chen said lightly. He stretched out his withered palms. Overbearing and arrogant, the light of symmetry exploded. He directly refined the lower demon god. Then Lin Chen ate it directly and went down. The flesh was constantly recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. "But I have only recovered a little. I don't want to be as scary as a mummy just now. I still have something to worry about. These ghosts, which I haven't seen in 100 years, have actually invaded the interior of the Yanhuang Empire," Lin Chen said lightly. He thought he was talking to himself, and he also thought he was talking to Lin Niancheng. "We'll come back to you soon." Lin Chen glanced at Lin Niancheng, then stepped out of the tearing space and appeared outside the secret realm. He needed more life essence to recover, and his condition was very bad. In the past 100 years, Lin Chen continued to struggle in despair, struggling. "I reached the extreme point and almost died completely. I finally got over it." Of course, the resurgence of the blood in Lin Niancheng's body was just an introduction. It could be regarded as advancing the time for Lin Chen's return. Even without Lin Niancheng, Lin Chen's return would only be a matter of time. That, Who was that person just now? Chen Xian looked at Lin Niancheng and asked. It should be my damn dad, Lin Niancheng said slowly, seeing that the seal placed by his grandfather was restored again. He couldn't help but relax. After Lin Niancheng completed the secret realm assessment, Lin Niancheng returned home and looked at his mother. Alaire was still playing game. Well, Mom, I saw my dad. It should be, I don't want to be sure, Lin Niancheng thought for a while and said to Alaire. Alaire stopped playing the game and turned to look at Lin Niancheng. Are you serious? Alaire looked at Idea and asked. Probably so, I'm not sure, Lin Niancheng thought about it and said, knowing that his mother had been looking for the whereabouts of his father since he came to the human star field a year ago. But the information that could be found was 100 years ago. Alaire did not believe that Lin Chen would be like this. Talk about it carefully, Alaire asked Lin Chen. That's it, Mother. Lin Niancheng told Alaire everything that happened in the secret realm. After listening to Lin Niancheng's words, Alaire nodded. If nothing else, he should be your unreliable father, Alaire said carelessly. Lin Niancheng's face darkened and he looked at the careless Alaire. It seems that Lin Chen is relatively unreliable. Thinking of this, the corners of Lin Niancheng's mouth twitched. But I didn't expect that he was actually on the Holy Orchid Star, Alaire said thoughtfully. He was a little surprised that Lin Chen appeared on the Holy Orchid Star. So how do you feel about your dad? Alaire asked Lin Niancheng. Hearing what Alaire said, Lin Niancheng thought about it. Lin Chen's approach. Domineering, rude, brutal, unreasonable, arrogant, powerful, Lin Niancheng said in a deep voice. I have to say that Lin Chen's simple and crude actions did change Lin Niancheng's mentality. A demon god is just gone. After all, he is also a god. Although he is a lower demon god, he is not a god. But in the hands of his father. Like a little chicken, without the slightest ability to resist. Right, your mother has pretty good taste, Alaire said with a smile on his face. Lin Niancheng was a little helpless. Of course, my son is definitely better and will definitely be better than him in the future. So, son, you have to work hard. By the way, hurry up and cook. Mom, I haven't eaten yet, Alaire patted Lin Niancheng's shoulder and said. Oh. Lin Niancheng nodded and went to get food. Beast Tamer, Divine Beast Tamer. Author, I am Lao Wu. Chapter 482. Really, how could it become like this in 100 years? Lin Chen stood in the starry sky, and his soul directly covered the entire Yanhuang star territory. Lin Chen planned to clean up the rats that broke into the Yanhuang star territory. Found it, Lin Chen's withered figure shuttled among the stars. On a relatively remote planet in the Yanhuang Empire, a demon god tore apart space and descended on the planet. The next moment, a withered palm crushed it directly. Crushing. Refining. Such things happen on various planets in the Yanhuang star territory. Marshall Mew's general story is like this. Got it, go down. It's a good thing that you don't have to worry about this matter. After 100 years of rest, it's time to come back. Mr. Mew said with a smile on his lips. His eyes were deep. The Yanhuang border was forced to retreat to the border 10 years ago. With the protection of Yanhuang, there was no big problem. But it won't be a long-term problem. What a good thing. The devil is really patient. Anyway, I plan to slowly destroy the Yanhuang. After all, the price to pay is too high. 100 years of time is just a snap of a finger for the gods, let alone those great kings. Got it? It's time to come back, the Yanhuang Empire still needs you. Mr. Mew said with a smile on his face. Border. A group of demons outside did not even step into the Yanhuang Empire. They kept shouting and abusing. They were even trying to find opportunities to enter the Yanhuang Empire to cause destruction. About there. Under the starry sky, Lin Chen's figure is still a little thin and yellow. The lost life essence is so weak that it cannot be brought back by the devil's origin. He has not yet completely recovered. Let's go back and take a look first. Lin Chen rubbed the center of his eyebrows. To be honest, when Lin Chen saw Lin Niancheng for the first time, he was not as calm as he seemed on the surface. Anyone who wakes up after sleeping for 100 years sees his child at the first sight. They were all a little confused. Lin Chen was the same, but he was anxious to stabilize his situation, so he didn't go to Lin Niancheng properly at the first time. It's time to go now. Saint Langzing, Lin Chen thought for a while. Then he tore the space across the star field and returned to the Holy Orchid Star. Based on the pull of his bloodline, Lin Chen naturally felt the presence of Lin Niancheng. And Lin Niancheng was playing games with his mother at home. Could clearly feel the throbbing in his blood. He looked at the door of his home. "What's the matter, son?" Alair asked Lin Niancheng. "Somebody is coming," Lin Niancheng said in a deep voice. The space surged. There was a glimmer of light in Alair's eyes, and divinity flowed on his body. "The god is still the middle god. Haven't seen you for a long time." Lin Chen, with a sallow complexion and withered hair, walked out of the space. He, long time no see." Alair didn't know what to say when he looked at Lin Chen. Only Alair and Lin Chen knew what happened back then. Lin Niancheng didn't understand at all. Seeing his submissive mother at this moment, Lin Niancheng couldn't help but feel a ray of fire rises. "What are you doing here? You abandoned us, mother and son, and why are you here to find us?" "To find those women of yours," Lin Niancheng said angrily. "Lin Chen?" Alair had a sneer on his face. "Okay, is this how you teach our children?" Lin Chen said with some twitching at the corner of his mouth. Lin Niancheng was able to say such words while looking at Alai's sneer look. Lin Chen knew without thinking that this must have been taught by Alai. Ahem, this misunderstanding, isn't it because Niancheng is still young? I just said it casually, Alair said with a smile. Is this what Yudiandian looks like? Lin Chen watched Lin Niancheng gritting his teeth and looking at him. Lin Niancheng also came to his senses in a daze. That's wrong. Shouldn't his mother just explode? Why is the smile on his face so weird and a little embarrassed? The little cub has started to show its teeth and claws before it grows up. Lin Chen looked at Lin Niancheng and tapped his finger. Lin Niancheng was imprisoned in place. By the way, should you give me an explanation? Lin Chen asked Alair. He sat on the sofa and looked at Alair. Alair had a sneer on his face. Lin Niancheng looked confused. There is something going on here. Ahem, what do you have to explain? Didn't you already know that? Alair looked at Lin Chen and said. I know it, but I don't know who it is. And it was you at the beginning. Lin Chen looked at Alair with a trace of resentment. After missing him all his life, Lin Chen suffered a loss at the hands of a woman for the first time. Really? Then why would he say such a thing? Lin Chen looked at Alair angrily and pointed at Lin Niancheng and said. That, son, was just a joke, Alair said with a smile. Quickly untie your son's shackles, Alair said to Lin Chen. Lin Chen clicked his finger, and the restraints on Lin Niancheng were released. He stood there feeling a little embarrassed. Things were not at all what he thought. Son, there are some things that I will tell you when you are older, but now you have seen your cheap father, Alair said earnestly. The more Lin Chen listened, the darker his face became. Lin Niancheng became more and more confused. It was completely different from what he thought. Lin Chen had abandoned his wife and children. The current situation seemed to be completely the other way around. Let me tell you, first, I did not abandon your mother, nor did I abandon you. Secondly, I didn't know about your existence until 100 years ago. It was through blood induction. Although I knew that I had a child, I didn't know who it was. Maybe it was because you were too young. In the end, all of this was done by your mother, Alair herself. Ask her how she did things in the first place, including her pregnancy. Such a simple thing. Hey, you guy, what you said, don't you have no responsibility? Alair is a little unhappy and loses face in front of his son. Oh? What responsibilities do I have, tell me? Lin Chen raised his eyebrows and looked at Alair. I don't care, you are responsible. Alair thought for a while, and Lin Chen seemed to have no problem. Facts have proved that women are unreasonable creatures, even gods. Lin Niancheng looked at his mother with a black line on his face. Now he understands that in the past, the things my mother told me were all lies and nonsense. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Beast Tamer, Divine Beast Tamer. Author, I am Lao Wu. Chapter 483. Okay, we don't need to discuss the past time anymore. The most important thing is now, right? Alair looked at Lin Chen with a smile. Lin Chen was speechless, and then looked at Lin Niancheng. He inherited his own bloodline and the bloodline of the Celestial Clan, talent, strength, and qualifications. There is nothing to say, and he has always been in a state of suppression. Take the little cub and leave the human star field, Lin Chen said in a deep voice. The sneer on Alair's face completely disappeared. Lin, do you think I am afraid of you? Why should I leave? Alair looked at Lin Chen and said in a deep voice. Lin Chen was stunned. Now Alair has misunderstood. It's not what you think. Lin Chen said in a deep voice, with a trace of helplessness in his eyes. Now there is a big problem in the Yanhuang Star territory. If you don't leave, you won't be able to leave. I may not be able to protect you in the future. Lin Chen said in a deep voice. If he appeared at the border, he would definitely cause huge turmoil. In order to get rid of him, 7 kings were sent to the abyss. Although only 1 king could deal with him, the other 6 kings were there. That fate is dragging Yanhuang to kill him. Now that he is appearing, who knows what will happen on the other side of the abyss. But it will definitely cause a bigger storm. Isn't it still good now? Alair calmed down and looked at Lin Chen. It turned out that Lin Chen didn't want to drive them away, but wanted to protect them. That's just because I didn't show up. Lin Chen said in a deep voice. Lin Niancheng looked at Lin Chen with a glint in his eyes. It seems that his cheap father is not that simple. Okay, but why did you become such a ghost? Alair looked at Lin Chen and asked. Now Lin Chen's body was dry and his hair was withered and grey. Your strength shouldn't be there. What on earth are you doing? Alair asked Lin Chen. I didn't do anything. I destroyed an angel legion and the temple angels. I also killed a lot of high-ranking gods, which broke the balance of the battlefield. The abyss sent 7 kings to surround me. Lin Chen said lightly. Alair. Lin Niancheng looked at Lin Chen with some disbelief at the skinny man in front of him. 7 kings. Are you kidding me? Alair looked at Lin Chen with a bitter voice. No, that's the fact. The 6 kings held back Yanhuang, and 1 king took action against me. Lin Chen said calmly, with deep eyes. So what do you do now? Back then, they were able to send 7 kings to surround and kill you, so it's not a good thing for you to show up now. Alair took a deep breath and warned Lin Chen. I know, but this is my life. I am the immortal true dragon, the guardian of the Yanhuang Empire. This is my fate, they can't kill me. Lin Chen said confidently. After returning from despair, Lin Chen himself has evolved to an unimaginable level. After 100 years of training, although he almost died, Lin Chen finally came back. He has evolved to an unimaginable level. Specifically, Lin Chen himself doesn't know how strong he is. But what is certain is that he will not be so embarrassed when encountering the Black Knight. Okay, you all know what you need to know, now it's time for you to leave. Lin Chen said in a deep voice. Who do you look down on? Lin Niancheng looked at Lin Chen unconvinced and said. I'm not as weak as you think. Lin Niancheng said with some dissatisfaction. Really? Lin Chen looked at his little cub with a smile on his face. Don't talk too much. When you reach the point when the younger generation is the strongest and you are talking about brats, now is not the time for you to talk big. Lin Chen said with a smile. How about you? What are you going to do? Alair looked at Lin Chen and asked. What do you think? What do you think I'm going to do? When have you ever seen me suffer? Lin Chen's eyes flashed with a fierce light. He almost died. Can Lin Chen endure this loss? If he could endure it, he would no longer be Lin Chen. Collect some interest first and use billions of demon gods as interest. It won't be a loss no matter what. Lin Chen said with a faint look in his eyes. My body is a little weak and needs to be replenished to get back to its full strength. I heard that those guys at the nearest border are dancing very well, so I plan to go and see it. Lin Chen said in a deep voice. Tisk, do whatever you want, don't die. Alair was silent for a while and said lightly. Whether it was for himself or Lin Niancheng, Alair decided to leave with Lin Niancheng. The current human starfield is not safe. It is not a good thing to stay here. Those demons don't care whether they are members of the Celestial Clan. For them, what they have to do now is to destroy the strong backbone of the Yanhuang Empire. The war is still very long. Time waits for no one, and a terrifying war may soon break out. Okay, I'll leave first. Lin Chen said in a deep voice, and then looked at Lin Niancheng. If possible, Lin Chen would also like to stay with their mother and son if possible. But it is obviously impossible now, whether it is time or the Yanhuang Empire. Over there, we can't even drag him down. After coming back alive, Niancheng will participate in the universe competition 10 years later. I hope you, the father, can come, Alair said to Lin Chen. No problem, Lin Chen nodded, with a smile on his lips. Little kid, I'm leaving. Remember to practice hard. You are not as good as when I was young. Time flies so fast. Also, you know it was your mother who forced me to do this. Lin Chen said something and then tore apart the space and disappeared into the room. Alair's face darkened and he looked at Lin Chen who had disappeared. This guy still refused to suffer a little loss. Before leaving, he had to change his mind. Lin Niancheng looked at Alair with a strange expression. Why are you looking at me? Alair looked at his stupid son angrily. Ahem, nothing. Lin Niancheng finally understood in his heart that it wasn't that Lin Chen didn't want them, but it was something his mother had done. Say it, Mom. Lin Niancheng looked at Alair. If you have something to say, say it, Alair said angrily. Well, my father is very powerful? Lin Niancheng asked Alair. Well, I think your question is a good one. You will know later whether it is serious or not, but your father is very narrow-minded, Alair said angrily. At least in the original cosmic competition, your father suppressed the entire young generation of the cosmos by himself, Alair said softly. Mother, aren't you an opponent too? Lin Niancheng asked Alair curiously. Alair's face darkened. Can this damn kid speak? Beast Tamer, Divine Beast Tamer. Author, I am Lao Wu. Chapter 484. Lin Chen left without any hesitation. Standing outside Shenglan Star, Lin Chen looked back, then directly tore apart the space and jumped across the star field to reach the boundary. He needs to regain his strength. Those demons are the best medicine. Life essence and origin are the best ways to restore Lin Chen's strength. Old man, the wind here is a bit strong. Why don't you go back to the house and rest first? A lower level god level being looked at Lin Chen and said with a smile. Old man? Are you talking about me? Lin Chen looked at this lower level god level existence with some amusement. He must have been promoted to god not long ago. Otherwise, he would not have appeared at the border. Of course, old man, I think you have lost a lot of your life energy. You must have been seriously injured. Go back and have a good rest. I will leave this place to the young people. Wang Xuan looked at Lin Chen with a smile and said. Resting is useless, I know my injury in my heart. When it comes to you, coming here at such a young age, aren't you afraid? Lin Chen looked at Wang Xuan with a smile and said. Scared, but what's the use of being scared? Behind this is my country and my relatives. I can't leave here, Wang Xuan said lightly. That's good. What's your name? Lin Chen looked at Wang Xuan and asked. The surname is Wen, and the single name is Xian. What is your name, old man? Wang Xuan looked at Lin Chen curiously. Why had he never seen Lin Chen before? The surname is Lin, and the single name is Chen. Lin Chen said with a smile. Outside the border, a demon god appeared in the star field of the border. What do these guys want? Lin Chen asked Wang Xuan curiously. The border is protected by the power of Yanhuang and is basically safe. Of course, don't go out. Those ghosts are here to disgust people. Old man, this is your first time at the border. I suggest you plug your ears. Those guys are here to provoke anger on purpose, Wang Xuan said with a somewhat ugly expression. Oh? Yeah, Lin Chen shook his head. A series of terrifying magic lights directly bombarded the border barrier. Those demon gods began to curse all kinds of things, disgusting people. Why are they disgusting? By the way, are you just looking at it? Lin Chen said in a deep voice, with a trace of murderous intent in his eyes. There's nothing you can do, old man, these guys are deliberately irritating us. There are not only these demon gods outside, there are more demon gods hiding in the dark, and this is not the first time or twice, Wang Xuan said with a bitter look on his lips. Is that so? Lin Chen said lightly, walking into the void step by step. His thin body was a little stooped, and his long hair like withered grass was a little messy. What are you going to do, old man? Wang Xuan was a little confused when he saw Lin Chen's movements. What's going on with this old man? Do what? You'll find out later, Lin Chen said lightly. He walked out of the barrier step by step. Another man came out to die. Those demon gods looked at Lin Chen and could feel the depleted life essence in Lin Chen's body. Really, the old man who loves to cause trouble. Wang Xuan looked at Lin Chen, and a silver white light appeared on his body. Die, a demon god took action. A silver white light appeared in front of Lin Chen. He immediately struck. Old man, go back quickly, it's dangerous here. Wang Xuan gritted his teeth and said. Lin Chen was stunned for a moment. This little guy is interesting. Go back. Where will it go? This is our world. Lin Chen said lightly. Hidden demon gods appeared in the starry sky and walked out of the void. Not enough, only 100, Lin Chen murmured and licked his lips. Wang Xuan was stunned. What does this old man want to do? Kid, I want to correct you two mistakes. First, I am not here to die, and second, I am not an old man. Lin Chen said lightly. He grabbed Wang Xuan's arm and threw Wang Xuan back into the barrier. Is the old man so strong? Wen Xian looked at Lin Chen and said with some disbelief. The terrifying demonic light burst out from Lin Chen. 100 years of time were wasted. Lin Chen himself almost went to death, holding a breath in his heart. If you don't come back with revenge, Lin Chen's own thoughts will be unclear and he will leave a knot in his heart. What matters is a gratification of pleasure, repaying kindness with kindness and revenge with hatred. Die, a lower demon god directly stretched out his demonic hand and attacked Lin Chen. Lin Chen's eyes were dim and dark. Deep in his withered palm, the light of symbol exploded. It was annihilated and refined in an instant. Lin Chen swallowed it directly. The body becomes straight. The withered hair has a hint of black. It's still far from enough, Lin Chen murmured. There was a fierce light in his eyes. The overwhelming fierce power burst out. This is not a mouse, it is clearly a dormant real dragon. Didn't you scream happily just now? Why don't you scream now? Lin Chen stood under the starry sky, and the hundreds of demon gods around him were afraid to move rashly. Kill, one of the demon gods couldn't stand such an atmosphere and took action directly. Too weak, a golden divine light appeared on Lin Chen's body. The bright golden divine light and the invincible aura emerged. Some demon gods who participated in the war 100 years ago, the fear buried in their hearts was awakened, the fear of being dominated by human demons. It's not enough. I have just recovered and need big medicine to make up for my losses. You demons are not enough to fill my teeth, Lin Chen said lightly. A golden fist mark crossed the sky. The galaxy shook. Hundreds of demon gods were instantly shattered, leaving behind lumps of origin floating in place. Fear filled the air. Human devil, a shocking roar sounded. It was the demon god who participated in that war 100 years ago. He held back Lin Chen. There were still people who knew me, and I thought I had been forgotten, Lin Chen said with a smile on his lips. His white teeth were exposed. The chains of order burst out from his hands, directly passed through the origins, and were linked together. They were directly recycled back. Simple and crude. The magic of these demons was wiped out. Lin Chen swallowed the soul directly. The immortal true dragon magic on his body continued to circulate. The golden light shone to the extreme. Lin Chen's body gradually became fuller. His hair was no longer withered and yellow, and the origin and life essence of hundreds of demon gods. Finally, Lin Chen himself is no longer old. I said, I am not an old man, right? Lin Chen looked at Wang Xuan, who was dumbfounded in the barrier, and said with a smile. Wang Xuan was a little confused for a while. What is going on? Didn't he wake up? A terrifying aura filled the air, and a demon god emerged. Under the starry sky, they appeared densely at the border. Beast Tamer, Divine Beast Tamer. Author, I am Lao Wu. Chapter 485. Is it still the same as before, like the more people and bully the less people? But sometimes too many people are not a good thing, Lin Chen said with a smile on his lips. A fierce light suddenly appeared in his eyes. A terrifying aura returned from Lin Chen's body. Destroy the world, the heavenly sound of the avenue bloomed. The demonic sound was mighty, and Lin Chen was like an unparalleled demon, with overwhelming power. Great terror came. In an instant, the bodies of countless demons exploded. Are you sending me resources? Lin Chen said lightly. The fierce light in his eyes disappeared. All the immeasurable heavens have returned to me, Lin Chen roared, and his silver white hair was flying. Each hair was crystal clear and full of divine power. The endless source was directly swallowed and plundered by Lin Chen. This scene was not only the abyss, but also the people on the Yanhuang side. People were also shocked. When did such a vicious person appear in the Yanhuang Empire? For 100 years, Yanhuang has been oppressed for 100 years, and they dare not speak out. But now everyone feels that Copper is happy. No, you guys, aren't you shouting happily? Calling for a try now, Lin Chen said with a fierce light in his eyes. He took a step forward. The whole starry sky was shaking. Lin Chen himself was constantly refining his origin and returned to the peak. His long silver white hair turned into black. His body was no longer rickety, and his skin was crystal clear and sparkling, flawless. The long black hair was naturally scattered around Lin Chen's waist and back. Lin Chen was back at his peak. Even stronger than when he was at his peak. You can't, Lin Chen said lightly. The golden fist seal bloomed. Pushed across the ages. Everything in its path was blown up. Having been robbed of its origin by Lin Chen, the upper demon god is now not qualified to collide with Lin Chen. Hey, is this what you said? He is dead, the Lord of the Dark Dimension said calmly and looked at the 7 Deadly Sins King. The 7 Deadly Sins King was also a little surprised. His destiny is really tough, but he is still an ant until he reaches the level of the ancestor god. The Lord of Desire said lightly, looking at the 7 legion commanders of the original Sin Legion behind him. The Black Knight pulled out his spear and rode into the starry sky. The plan of the Abyss, the Zerg, and the subspace, which took 100 years to maintain, is now almost over. It succeeded. Now that someone has disrupted the situation, how can I bear it? The 7 legion commanders of the original Sin Legion appeared again. Terrifying figures appeared under the starry sky. It finally appeared, and I thought you would have to endure it for a long time. Lin Chen murmured. Were you unable to bear it so quickly? Lin Chen said with a smile on his lips. Yanhuang is coming, Lin Chen roared. The golden Yanhuang appeared in the form of a real dragon. The aura on Lin Chen's body surged. Coward! It doesn't exist. Now that he has appeared on the battlefield, Lin Chen has no intention of being honest and honest. It won't come, I just want to be wretched and mature. I can't swallow that breath in my heart. How could I just give up like this when I almost perished? Are you kidding me? Do you really think Lin Chen is easy to bully? Are you here to be angered? The aura on Lin Chen's body keeps coming. Skyrocketing, the divine light was shining to the extreme, the divine ring was rising and falling around Lin Chen, and the stars were flowing behind him. This guy, the King of Desire, stood up directly and lost his composure. It seems that things have changed beyond control, the lazy king said calmly, with a strange look in his eyes. King, jealous lord's face is very ugly. This young dragon is no longer the young dragon it was 100 years ago. It has truly grown up, the arrogant king said in a deep voice. Kill. Without too many words, Lin Chen came for revenge. Although the Black Knight was pitiful, Lin Chen almost died. Can this grudge not be settled? Gun of Despair, the Black Knight's voice sounded as deep as the abyss of despair. A dark beam of light penetrated the starry sky. The other 6 captains of the original Sin Legion still resisted Yanhuang. I really thought I was me 100 years ago. Lin Chen's body bloomed with bright light. 9 origins gathered in Lin Chen's hands. 9 great worlds evolved. Die, Lin Chen roared, and the 9 big worlds directly suppressed the Black Knight. Although Lin Chen withstood the ancestral level combat power due to the increase of Yanhuang, he was still not an ancestral lord, but his combat power was almost the same. The light of despair shattered. The galaxy behind Lin Chen continued to flow. The Black Knight's body collapsed. Then he reorganized and looked at Lin Chen with a hint of complexity in his eyes. I originally thought that Lin Chen would die on his own path of despair. But I didn't expect Lin Chen. Chen survived and took a step further. Even after Yanhuang came, his own strength improved to a king-level existence. After all, it depends on external forces. A prison of despair, the Black Knight's body bloomed with black original darkness, shrouding Lin Chen. Boundless loneliness surrounded Lin Chen. The galaxy began to dim. Lin Chen's eyes were cold. Hundreds of years have not worn me out. Do you think this thing is really effective for me? Lin Chen said lightly, in the boundless darkness and despair. The body is immortal and the soul is immortal. From ancient times to the present, the heavenly sound of the avenue sounded, and the long river of time emerged, flowing around Lin Chen. The dark cage was broken, and in the abyss of despair, it was no match for thousands of years. I am immortal and will live forever. Despair cannot kill me, Lin Chen said lightly, shining to the extreme and walking out of the darkness. Like the only light in the eternal darkness, it illuminated the past and present and the future. The darkness was torn apart, and despair was buried and dissipated. Sir, times have changed, you old guys should have been buried long ago. Lin Chen said in a deep voice. The extremely bright war spear appeared in his hand. It was golden and dazzling, eternal and immortal. There were visions blooming on it. Gods and demons withered and died, and the world evolved in the process of birth and death. What do you know? The Black Knight roared, with extremely deep despair in the darkness. I don't understand, so I understand very well, and there is no such thing as righteousness. I just know that there is enmity between you and me. Lin Chen said indifferently. He strode forward, and the world was evolving and dying with every step. The ultimate war spear in his hand collided with the black spear. Don't know. The Black Knight looked at Lin Chen with hatred in his eyes. I also said that I don't understand, so what does it matter? It doesn't matter anything else, it's just a different stance. You deserve to die. Lin Chen said indifferently. The golden fist mark appeared directly. The Black Knight looked at Lin Chen without saying a word, and the black fist mark directly collided with Lin Chen. The galaxy was shattered. Lin Chen had a fierce light in his eyes. It doesn't matter that the Black Knight has a tragic life experience. For Lin Chen, all he needs to know is that he is an enemy. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Beast Tamer, Divine Beast Tamer. Author, I am Lao Wu. Chapter 486. After all, I used the power of external objects to barely reach the realm of ancestors. Do you think you are my opponent? The Black Knight looked at Lin Chen indifferently, and forced Lin Chen back with a punch. The black light bloomed to the extreme. It was the light of despair carrying the wailing sound of billions of creatures. The aura of despair filled the air, and the entire starry sky was filled with the light of despair echoing in the darkness. Snort, Lin Chen snorted coldly. His black hair was like a waterfall, falling naturally around his waist. Every strand of hair was crystal clear, exuding immortal light. It's useless, Lin Chen said lightly, striding forward. An endless light bloomed. The light of despair faded. The golden light of immortality and the light of despair collided directly. The whole world seemed to have only two colors left, one black and gold. If you fight at the same level, I will kill you like a dog, Lin Chen said indifferently, looking at the Black Knight. Golden fist marks shot across the sky. The endless evolution of the world's birth and death. The Black Knight's face was ugly. He had a deeper understanding of Lin Chen. This guy, in a fight with the same level, is really perhaps as he said. The Black Knight's faith began to waver. What are you so proud of? If you and I were in the same realm, I would give you a hand, Lin Chen said indifferently, condensing a war spear in his hand. He crossed directly towards the Black Knight. The knight's spear in the Black Knight's hand directly collided with Lin Chen. Endless light rose up. The Black Knight looked at Lin Chen silently. At this moment, Lin Chen's strength has risen to the level of the ancestral lord. Although it is increased by Yanhuang, it is still a real ancestral lord level combat power. Mu Sueking used the power of Yanhuang when she was fighting in the dimension and suppressed the mother of the Zerg Emperor. Throughout the ages, very few have been able to do this. Although it is borrowed from external forces, it is not a manifestation of the sublimation of one's own combat power. This can also be regarded as a kind of secret method. Let you see what the true ancestor is. The Black Knight was angry. The war horses under his feet neighed, shaking the galaxy. An endless black light gathered together. Like the light of the original darkness, it was deep and terrifying, and even the light seemed to be swallowed up. Desperate world, the Black Knight roars, and a world of despair descends. Contains the Black Knight's Taoism. What is gone will eventually pass away. The world that is already dead cannot do anything to me even if I am alive, let alone a world that is withering. Lin Chen's eyes had a deep light, and the fierce light suddenly appeared, piercing through the eternity. The golden light bloomed. Lin Chen became the only light that illuminated the dark and desperate world. The finger of destruction. Lin Chen's roaring eyes were evolving with terrifying laws, pointing out the destruction of the world. The Black Knight's body collapsed and reorganized again. Do you really think I'm here to have fun? I'm here to kill you. If I don't kill you, I'll be very angry. Lin Chen took a step forward and appeared in the Black Knight's reluctance. Are you taking it for granted? What kind of external force? If I didn't have such a foundation, Would I be able to reach this level even with Yanhuang's blessing? Lin Chen's cold voice sounded. Not every Yanhuang 100 dragons, with the blessing of Yanhuang, can leapfrog to the level of ancestors when they become gods. This is very rare among the Yanhuang 100 dragons. Things to see. Old things, times have changed, you guys should be the stepping stones for our younger generation. Lin Chen held the war spear high in his hand. The world did not give the Black Knight any reaction. The war spear nailed the Black Knight to death under the starry sky. A terrifying scene appeared in front of everyone. A king was directly nailed. Die in the starry sky. Lin Chenfa's figure blooms with endless golden light, immortal and eternal. The blood of the king is dripping. Roar, the Black Knight roared, making a terrifying roar, roaring, this is humiliating, regardless of whether Lin Chen's combat power has reached the ancestor. But Lin Chen himself is a superior god. He is a king, but he was nailed to death in the starry sky. Next. What is this? This is a shame. Black Knight Fury. What is it called? Lin Chen blasted out a golden fist seal and shattered the Black Knight's body again. 100 years of time have wasted, a whole 100 years of my time, and I almost died. Do you really think that I came to this world to suffer? I never came to this world to be angry. Who do you think you are? Lin Chen went crazy. The world for 100 years was in the darkness of endless despair. Lin Chen almost lost himself and completely lost himself, but he still survived. But just because he survived, it doesn't mean that Lin Chen won't hold grudges. You know, Lin Chen is very small-minded. The Black Knight is a little aggrieved. Under Lin Chen's frantic attack, he has no power to resist and can only resist, but this is not a good thing. Hey, if this guy really resists the Zhejian level, I'm afraid it will be a bit troublesome, the lazy king said lightly. There are also hierarchies among kings. The king of the 7 deadly sins is undoubtedly the one who stands at the top. The great terror standing on the top of the king. Who knows? But who said he could become a king? The Lord of Desire said in a deep voice. What are you up to? The Lord of Jealousy looked at the Lord of Desire and asked. What can I do? What bad intentions does a weak woman have? The Lord of Desire said with a delicate smile, his purple pupils glowing with charm. What I don't do doesn't represent those guys, the Lord of Desire said lightly. You mean the guys coming back from downstream? The Lord of Jealousy thought about looking at the Lord of Desire. Alas, aren't they looking for him? Then just open a way for them. This has nothing to do with me. They found it themselves, the King of Desire said with a smile. A stream of light penetrated into the void. Everything seemed as if nothing happened. For the King of the 7 deadly sins, these things are trivial. Even if the world is turned upside down, it has nothing to do with them. Compared with them, they are the original sin kings. They are also special existences among kings, somewhat similar to the evil gods of subspace. They themselves represent original sin. Original sin is immortal, they are immortal, and they are protected by the will of the abyss. They can reorganize their bodies even after death, reappearing in the abyss. This is their confidence to be indifferent. Unless the abyss is completely annihilated, they will not really die. Lin Chen fought until he went crazy, and he was also bleeding, but more of it was the Black Knight's own blood. Exploded into pieces in the galaxy. Lin Chen's eyes were cold, as if he wanted to beat the Black Knight to death. Ah, the Black Knight roared, a little crazy. Lin Chen's body was so hard that it was terrifying. Beast Tamer, Divine Beast Tamer. Author, I am Lao Wu. Chapter 487. It was a humiliation for the Black Knight. But no matter how the Black Knight broke out, Lin Chen suppressed it even more violently. I said, killing you at the same level is like slaughtering a dog. Lin Chen once again destroyed the Black Knight's figure with one punch. It was not easy for Lin Chen. Being able to suppress the Black Knight was the limit of what Lin Chen could do. As for erasing it, Lin Chen couldn't do it now. Arrive. Time and space are fluctuating. Lin Chen's eyes are cold. This is not the first time he has encountered this time and space fluctuation. Someone is coming from downstream. I just don't know if it is an enemy or a friend. Friend, it shouldn't be possible, right? The enemy may be bigger. Grass, Lin Chen quickly retreated without any hesitation. But it was too late. 3 humanoid creatures walked out of the long river of time and space. Time and space were turbulent and disillusioned, as if they might completely disappear at any time. Hey, you guys still don't give up, Lin Chen looked at the 3 figures who came from the future. Their armors were broken and still bleeding. You can imagine what kind of price they paid when they came here. Sure enough, we were not lied to, it was really here. An ancestor-level creature with a pair of horns on its head looked at Lin Chen with undisguised murderous intent in its eyes. Lin Chen's heart sank. Your coming here means that the future is unchangeable and you can't do it? Lin Chen said in a deep voice, looking at these 3 ancestor-level creatures with fear. A terrifying aura filled the air. If you don't do it, how will you know? One of them said lightly and looked at Lin Chen. Endless laws intertwined. Creatures in the dark dimension just don't know which dark dimension it is. Made Lin Chen looked at these guys with a glint in his eyes. These guys just wanted to completely obliterate him. What on earth will he do in the future? Awesome, I wrote it down. If you have the guts, don't let me live. If I continue to live, I will kill your dimension. Lin Chen looked at these 3 ancestor-level beings with a fierce look in his eyes. There is no problem in killing him, no matter how much the price is paid. Kill him and everything will be over, the last ancestor said in a deep voice. Lin Chen's heart sank. These guys really want to kill him as always. One has 2 horns, one has 4 wings on its back, and the last one is completely humanoid and undoubted creatures of mankind. 3 ancestors. Plus the Black Knight? A total of 4 ancestor-level existences, ready to surround and kill Lin Chen. Mud, Lin Chen's eyes were filled with rage. The fierce light destroyed the world forever. It was impossible to sit still and wait for death. Even if they died, they would still have to be dragged away. Long time no see, a cold voice sounded. Lin Chen looked behind him, and a superior god with dazzling eyes appeared behind him. Wu Zhao. What are you doing here? Go back quickly, Lin Chen said in a deep voice. Help you, Wu Zhao faintly spit out the word even. Don't forget, I am also a Yanhuang Beilong, Wu Zhao said in a deep voice. In the name of the immortal war dragon, please come to Yanhuang, Wu Zhao said in a deep voice. Yanhuang emerged, golden light merged into Wu Zhao's body, and the aura on Wu Zhao's body continued to become stronger and higher. Ancestor-level combat power. Now it's fun, Lin Chen looked at the 4 ancestor-level enemies, and then looked at Wu Zhao. No one knows Wu Zhao's strength better than Lin Chen. Since Wu Zhao can raise his combat power to the ancestor level after the arrival of Yanhuang level, so long shows that Wu Zhao's own background is sufficient. Coupled with Wu Zhao's terrifying talent, 2 per person is no problem. Lin Chen said with a smile. No problem, Wu Zhao said lightly, took a step forward, and appeared in front of an ancestor-level being. His hands flew, and endless divine light bloomed. The immortal war dragon, among the hundreds of Yanhuang dragons, is the only one who can compete with the immortal true dragon. The existence of fighting, this generation of immortal war dragon Wu Zhao, is even more terrifying. Endless light blooms. Wu Zhao directly drags the 2 ancestor-level beings into the void. Fighting on that vast battlefield. Kill, Lin Chen didn't hesitate at all, and went straight towards the Black Knight and the remaining ancestor who intercepted him. He is as arrogant as ever. The 4-winged ancestor looked at Lin Chen with undisguised murderous intent in his eyes. The Black Knight held a spear and penetrated directly towards Lin Chen. A golden fist mark crossed the sky, and the immortal war spear came out. Lin Chen directly fought with the two statues. The ancestors collided together. Endless light burst out. You will die here. The four-wing ancestor looked at Lin Chen with murderous intent in his eyes, and took out a terrifying sword in his hand. He knew that Lin Chen's body was terrifying. He did not collide with Lin Chen with his own fists. Really? I don't think I will die here. Since you appear here, it means that I am alive and well. You have to pay a huge price to swim upstream to kill me, Lin Chen said in a deep voice, looking at the Four Wings ancestor with a smile on his face. In fact, have you ever thought about why I would find you in the future? Lin Chen said lightly and looked at the Four-Wing ancestor. After hearing Lin Chen's words, the Four-Wing ancestor was also a little confused. Why did Lin Chen in the future come to massacre his own dimension? This problem is not just for him, but also for the other two. It's almost the same in my heart. So could it be because of this scheduled interception? Today's cause, tomorrow's result, Lin Chen said lightly. The Four Wings ancestor's pupils shrank. He seemed to have thought of something. When the future Lin Chen massacred his dimension, he also asked why, but the future Lin Chen smiled mysteriously and only said, "You will know later." But now, it seems that all this happened because of his interception and killing of Lin Chen. In the future, Lin Chen took revenge on himself. He did not want his own dimension to be destroyed, so he went upstream to intercept and kill Lin Chen. This is a cycle, a closed loop. The starting point of all this is also the end point. It seems that I was right, so the question is, when will you die? Lin Chen said with a fierce light in his eyes. A trace of fear appeared in the eyes of the four-winged ancestor. In the future, Lin Chen did not kill himself, but allowed himself to come upstream. What does this mean? It means that he will die. This is a closed loop. At this point in time, I am still in my own dimension, and I am from the future. Even if I die, there will be no changes to the future. This is a solution that has been destined for a long time, and it is everything. The cause is also the result of everything. Everything has been doomed a long time ago.